This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org. Welcome to Season 3 of Truly Independent. I'm Garrett Batty alongside my co-host Darren Smith. Each week, we'll go in-depth with guests, industry experts, and we'll even share our own experiences, all with the goal of demystifying the independent film process. This season, it's all about the script, from the first spark of an idea to a polished final draft, breaking it down for scheduling, budgeting, and ultimately shooting. We'll walk through every step it takes to get from page to production. Welcome to Truly Independent.
Garrett, hello, sir. How the heck are you?
Hey, good, Darren. Happy January.
Yes, it's January. I hope the holidays were good for you. I've missed our conversation. I was doing something last week, and you were doing something last week, and so now we're back, which feels right.
I was, yeah, and I'll plug what I was doing. I was on a cruise, kind of a family reunion cruise, but it was with a group that we've gone on and actually had premieres of two of our films on this cruise. And so this year I was there just as an attendee, which was great, but we still had 750 people there asking, "Hey, what's your next project? When are you going to show a film?" And so we promoted a potential film for next year's cruise. So you'll hear a lot more about that at a future episode.
I like it. Very cool. It seems to be a strategy that's working. So keep it up. That's awesome. All right, we got a fun topic today. We've both been in the throes of financing and fundraising and finding collaborators. And so the question that's come up a lot is like, how are you getting these meetings? How are you preparing for and showing up and getting these meetings and turning them into successful things? One question as we kind of kick off or give context to the topic today, one question I get often is, how are you convincing people to give you money? And my answer is, that is not what I'm doing. I'm not convincing people of anything. If there's alignment, if there's existing demand, then that's what I'm looking for. And so as we go through today, we've got a couple of ideas of how to go about finding the people, how to prepare for the meeting, and how to show up in the meeting to really make it as successful an outcome as possible. But with that in mind, that like, if they're not a film investor, trying to convince them to become one is a really, really, really hard thing to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it is. There's a good, lots of talking points. I have a few different talking points more related to writing and stuff like that, like what to do in those meetings with either your script or your pitch deck. But yes, you're right. The idea that this episode is definitely not how to convince people to give you money. That's not what filmmakers do.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's not what we should be doing.
Hopefully. Well, I think people find a lot of struggle because they think that the secret is you get a meeting and you show up and you razzle dazzle and you've got the materials and you've got this confidence and you've got this pitch and you've got this passion for the story and the movie that you're going to make. And that's what tips people over and convinces them to join you in the journey. And I just haven't seen that happen. No matter how convincing you are, no matter how passionate you are, it still has to align with the demand and what they're looking for. So, this kind of gets us into it. So let's dive into the topic a little bit. The first talking point that popped up as we were discussing and planning this episode was the script is not the product. Confidence is the product. And I would add inevitability is the product. And so I was at the Utah International Film Fest last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, and on their pitch panel, which you and I did last year. And it was a blast and there were some really good pitches. But I told a couple of people after the fact, like, the script is not the currency. That's not what you're selling. It's something way bigger than that. And if you're just writing scripts in order to sell them and you're not repped and you're in Utah and you've never had a produced project before, that's a really tall order of a script to give you all those things that you want in your career. um, I don't think that's the actual currency in those conversations. I think the currency is partnering with you or the story itself. It's not the physical or the digital script that you're sending to a collaborator or an investor or a producer. It's the story and who you are and what you're able to bring to the table. So, curious your thoughts on that. I mean, I know you were at that pitch fest last year as well, not to focus on the pitch fest aspect, but like, do you see the script as the thing or is it something else?
Well, I think it's so tricky, and it's almost a chicken and egg scenario, because to to engage in those conversations where you're raising money for a project, oftentimes there does need to be a script or some sort of proof of interest or proof of concept of, hey, this is a legitimate filmmaker or this is a person with a project, because there are a million ideas, and I get pitches weekly, if not daily, of, hey, here's an idea, or here's a link to a cool story, or whatever it is, and it's great. And I'm again very flattered and appreciative that people would take the time to say, hey, this might be a good movie if you make it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But unless there's a script, there's like, that's a certain threshold that's already been crossed to say, oh yes, not only does this idea work, but it works as in a movie format. um, but you're right, to show up then with a script. I also get scripts emailed to me or sent to me,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know what, I don't know this individual, I don't know who this is from or what they've done or whatever, and for me to take 2 hours to read the script and then kind of process, and
Yeah. It's homework.
yeah, it's homework. And I would much rather invest, you're right, in a person with confidence, uh, first, and then let's take a look at the script.
Yeah. And confidence in the story you're trying to tell, right? So, one thing that was very different from last year's pitch fest to this year's is I did not ask anyone to send me their script. I said, send me a treatment because I asked, what, I don't know, 5 or 6 people last year to send me a script, and I got to 2 of them because I had other things that were more pressing and more deserved my focus and attention than reading those spec scripts. I did not have a need for more spec scripts last year. I had a need for financing and investment. So that's what I devoted my time to. But this year, there were 4 or 5 stories that I was like, oh, that's cool. I'd love to see what you've done with that. And what I'm looking for is an easier to digest version of the story. And do you know what the story is? And can you tell it in a compelling way? I can get that in a 3 to 15 page treatment way faster than the script. And so, or
Yeah.
the screenplay. So rather than me understanding if you know how to format properly and know how to, have good dialogue, that's all really fixable if the story works. If the story is broken, it doesn't matter how good the dialogue is or how, perfectly spell checked your screenplay is. Like, that's not the thing. So that was something that I consciously was like telling writers afterwards that were coming up and asking me about feedback and questions and how do I send you my stuff. It's like, send me a treatment because I just want to know what the story is and what do you think it is, and is it in alignment with what I'm trying to do storytelling wise. And we'll see. I haven't received any yet, so we'll see.
I think, Darren, I think that I'm thinking back to the project that you are currently on and the one that I'm currently on, with Brotherhood, where your interest was piqued when Ross, an independent filmmaker, said, hey, I have an idea, something needs to be done. And you did have that initial conversation. Okay, what is this? And yes, you identified there is something here. But your follow-up question is, where are you on the script, or what do you need? Right? And so Ross then had to provide a script,
Yeah.
and he did so within 4 to 6 weeks. And so I guess be mindful of that. The script maybe isn't necessarily the product that is getting you in the door, but know that once you get in the door, that's the next question. Like, where's the script? Where are you on that?
Yeah.
And if you go, nah, I don't know yet, or I'm writing it, then you're delaying perhaps some action to be taken.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think every project is probably a little different, but it benefits you to know where you're at in the relationship when you're having the conversation and what's the next step, right? So Ross wasn't coming to me asking me to produce the movie, because if he were doing that and he hadn't written a script yet, I'd be like, you're too early. Like, that's
Yeah,
not the
yeah, yeah,
conversation we're having. The conversation was, tell me about your fund, and I have this story. I want to see if there's alignment with you and with what you're trying to do. And that was the conversation. So then literally the next step was me going to the script reading 4 or 5 weeks later and going, oh, he did it. Like, he delivered on the story. So let's
yeah,
keep the conversation going. So knowing where you're at in the process. And if you, like you said, if you don't have a script, don't start asking for investor meetings and pitches. Start relationship building and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you about an idea I have, to see if it's in alignment with who you are as a investor, as a producer, as a director, as an actor. And
yeah.
that's okay for relationship building.
Okay, so then the next talking point then that I wanted to bring up is the script. It's okay then if it's flawed. It's okay that it's not your, 13th draft picture lock, or locked pages
Yeah.
script, right? We're using the script to show that you are capable of, you know, putting a project out there that aligns with the potential investor's interests, that is within the scope of what you want to do, that has, achievable locations and reasonable cast, but it doesn't have to prove that you are, that you've written some masterpiece that is without typos, and that honestly that isn't a little bit flexible and able to be changed.
Yeah. I got a script a month ago that I finally read over the holidays. That was a sci-fi, futuristic AI, faith-based story, and it's winning awards and it's doing really well as like a short or as a pilot episode for a series. And he asked if he could send it over, and I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Like, I would love to see what you did with that. And they really delivered. Like, they did a great job on the script, but scope wise, it was like, no, this is going to take, if it's per episode, it's like a few million, like 2 million an episode. If it's a feature, it's 4 to 7 million, for a feature. That's outside of the scope of what I'm doing. Like, I don't have a visual effects budget in any of my budgets that I'm doing, like, that's not it. And
Yeah,
this is a big thing, but it's super cool. And I'm like, man, I would love to help you, or I'd love to watch it, but like, I can't do it through the fund. So what we're looking for is like, what's the scope? Can it be done? So I got another script 3, 4 months ago. And in the delivery email of the script, here's the script. Here's what I'm looking to do it for. And this is an actress who has not produced ever, not directed ever, hasn't had a script ever produced, and the stuff that she's done is local and super low budget. And in the context of the delivering the script to me, said, I want to do this at $30 million. I was like, okay. Like, I haven't read the script yet, because it's a mismatch with the scope that I'm doing. So why devote 2 hours to doing it? So that's why I haven't read it. Sorry if you're
yeah,
listening, but like, it's like, oh, 30 million. I don't even know how to begin to help you with a $30 million project.
yeah. And I think that's fair to say. That way you're not wasting her time and she's not wasting yours. Uh, Darren, to follow up on that, there's a poster on my wall of a that started out with one of these meetings. It was somebody that came in with a script, and it definitely aligned with the type of movies that I like to make. Except for this script was, yeah, it was probably about a $10 million movie.
Hmm.
I said, this is not the type of movie I can make. I don't have access to that. I'm an independent filmmaker, but I really liked, he proved his capability as a screenwriter, and again, somebody that had similar interests. And so I said, I'd like to take this section or this area of your script and let's turn that into a movie.
Hmm.
And and we did, and that movie is distributed by Samuel Goldwyn Films now. So um, the again, it wasn't about him coming in with the perfect script. It was about making sure that we, that me as a filmmaker and he as a writer were on the same page, kind of had a similar vision, and we were able to work together. It was a great collaborative experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. One thing again that came up about this or at this pitch fest was the idea that your pitch, whether that's a log line or a pitch at a pitch fest or the trailer for the movie, you're making a promise to the audience and you're promising genre, and audiences understand what a genre is, right? They go, oh, this is a mystery, or this is a thriller, or this is a faith-based drama, or. And as soon as you say the genre, they go, okay, great. If I'm going to watch a mystery, a Ryan Johnson Knives Out, the third movie in a trilogy, I kind of know what to expect. Benoit Blanc's going to show up. He's going to try and solve an insolvable crime. And there's going to be twists and turns, and there's going to be people who are showing up one way but are actually doing something else in the background. Like there's all these expectations and obligatory scenes and genre things that you're promising. And one comment I kept making to some of the screenwriters there was, you said this, but then you pitched this, and those are different things. So if you're going to say it's a horror, but there's no death and there's no goriness, or there's no monster, like whatever it is, it's not a horror, it's a thriller. That's fine, but pitch it as a thriller. And that comment came up time and time again. So when you're delivering a script to a producer, to an investor, you're also saying, I know how to deliver on this. I can do it. And the alignment of all those things is like something that's really top of mind for me as I'm going through a script and thinking about producing or funding. Do they get it? And if they don't, then it's like, oh, we have to have a conversation, or sorry, it's not for me.
Darren, how is that? How on your current project, or for you as a filmmaker now, and not somebody receiving pitches? What's your action on that? Like where you've presented Brotherhood, you're getting ready to present it to potential donors or investors or audiences. What are you? How are you applying that?
Yeah. What's interesting is I'm not really pitching the beats of the story. Like I'm not
Yeah.
trying to help them understand what the movie is from beginning to middle to end. I'm saying this is a movie about, and
Yes.
this is who it's for, and this is the alignment that I'm looking for.
Yes.
And
That.
so a lot of it is focusing in on who I'm talking to and saying, "Oh, if you're an investor, you're looking for certain things." And we'll get to this. I think this is another bullet point, so I'm getting ahead of myself. But
Yeah. No. I'm
maybe it's a
queuing it
nice
up.
transition into it. Like um, the idea that different money needs different versions of the pitch or different collaborators, whoever you're talking to. If you're trying to get a director to come on board of your project, you're not going to pitch them about returns and comparables and distribution plans. Maybe you'll talk about distribution, I don't know, but you're going to talk about the budget that they get and how much time they have and the type of movie you're trying to make, and to see if
Hmm.
there's alignment there. But if you just talk about the creative stuff with investors who are concerned more about return on capital and what movies is it like, and have you done it before, and what are you going to do for distribution, that's a mismatch as well. And so whoever you're talking to needs a different pitch. It's the same movie, it's the same offer, but different ways into it.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I'm learning, I guess, with current projects and past projects, and is that to avoid that, your script again probably is not going to be read by most people you pitch to, but it's your key to it's your kind of the way to unlock the door to get that meeting. Then now you've got the pitch, and you're pitching your potential investor. Avoid, and I have to constantly remind myself, avoid the plot dump. Like, nobody, they don't want to know in the 15-minute meeting what your movie is about as far as the plot goes. Um, they want to know who the movie's for, why it matters now, what they're going to feel while walking out of the theater. And boy, if you can put that in a pitch and say, here's the script, you don't need to read it. I mean, here's the script, great. But here's what this movie is, then I think that those meetings go a lot better than you trying to rush through 14 minutes of plot and
Yeah.
1 minute of any questions.
Yeah. It goes back to the currency is not the screenplay. The currency is the story. And if you can find the way in that connects to who you're talking to, whether they want an emotional experience, whether they're thinking about marketing and distribution, whether they're thinking about return on investment, you can tailor that. You can add different layers on top of the pitch. And so as you're preparing the pitch to go out into the marketplace, you're going to need a bunch of different collaborators. You need people who can help with financing. You need people who can help with development, people who can help with the production, people who can help with marketing and distribution. And that's at minimum, there's those 5 areas. And so it's probably 5 different versions of the pitch that you've got to prepare, because if it's just story, okay, the marketing team's going, well, what's the budget and who's it for and who's the audience and how do we reach them and can we do that in a profitable way? And you go, I don't know. It's like, okay. So that's why screenwriters typically aren't pitching marketers on or distributors on their movie. They're pitching financiers and producers, right? And maybe directors as well. They get attachments early on. So
Sure.
knowing who you're pitching and what's in it for them is just good business sense, like that you should always be thinking about what's in it for them, but it's what do they care about, what do they want, what is it that they are looking for that they can't get on their own, and your script, your story, your movie is the solution to the thing that they're trying to get.
Yeah. It's a great way to honestly to kind of test the response that your film is going to get to potential audiences. So, if you're like your example of, I'm going to stand up and pitch this, I got a horror movie about, this kidnapping that takes place. And you go, wait a second, is there death? Is there carnage? That's not a horror movie. It might be a thriller. And so you don't need to change your movie. You don't need to change the script. But you go, okay, then as we make this movie, I'm not going to position it and sell it as a horror movie. If it's the story you want to tell, or if you do want to make a horror movie, maybe you do need to change the script. I guess the point is you can test the audience response for your movie based just on doing pitches and gauging their response from that.
Yeah. When one thing that anyone can do anytime, anywhere, is test the log line with people. And the log line is as few words as possible to say something that gets them excited about leaning in and going, oh, tell me more about that, right? It doesn't have to be the full thing. It's not a 2-minute pitch. It's a 2-sentence pitch at most. And you're saying, there's a project that I'm looking at, and it's an Adam and Eve allegory with humanoid robots.
Okay.
Oh, whoa. Okay. Tell me more. You piqued my interest, and that's what the log line is for. But if your log line can't pique someone's interest, then don't go to start writing the script. You don't know what the core hook of the thing is yet. So test the log line 100 times with people and dial in on something where half or more of the people go, oh, that's interesting. That sounds cool. Oh, cool. Tell me more. Well, that's where I'm at. Oh, okay, cool. Well, let me know if you got more,
Yes.
but
So
yeah,
100% agree. My example of that from personal experience is which we try to do in this podcast, not just dole out advice, but like,
yeah,
hey, this is what we're currently doing. But is this the film I'm currently working on right now is called The Pearl, and it's a script that's done, and it's a kind of this faith-based thing as I typically do, but it's a true story, historical story. Anyway, as I'm pitching it, as I'm telling people, I spent a week on this cruise with 750 people that were asking, okay, what's your next project? And in these conversations with 2 and 3 people, I'm testing out different log lines. Even as I was developing the story years ago, um, I initially pitched it as, hey, here's this historical drama about a true story about how this group of religionists were able to overcome these challenges put on them by an oppressive government.
mm,
And people kind of nod and like, oh, okay, that sounds nice. And but then I start to say, but it's a comedy, and then people are leaning in. Say that again. Did I?
Wait, what?
And you go, okay, there we go. That's the hook. Now I'm going to run in that direction.
Yeah.
And as people are responding to a pitch, then you're like, okay, that's the type of movie that perhaps would get more interest or resonate with more audiences or break through, beyond what its independent budget would allow.
Yeah. And if you only ever pitch producers, you're only going to get one type of um, audience to respond to it. And if you're only pitching audience, you're not going to know how the producers are responding. So, like when you're at the log line or idea stage, I think you're pitching everybody, and
Yes.
you've got your writers group, which is fine. But like if they all go, "This is amazing," but it doesn't actually resonate with an audience, it's like, okay, great script, but you're not going to be able to get an audience to show up to see it anywhere. So you need all the pieces. That's very cool. I'm glad that that's been your experience as well. It's been mine as well. In 2016, I had my first experience with this of like just pitching an idea for a script that I hadn't written yet. And I had an executive producer that had been interested in working with us. So I said, hey, can I just test an idea with you, something I'm thinking of? She goes, yeah. So I send it over. I think I texted it over. It wasn't even like a in-person thing. And she goes, who have you shared that? Who else have you shared this with? I said, you're the first. She said, great. Don't tell anybody else. I want this. I was like, oh, okay. Like when you have the right thing, it catalyzes action. Like people lean in and go, oh, tell me more. Or they go, I want it. Or or various, you know, anything in that spectrum of I'm not interested to, I want to fund this thing could happen if you get the right story, the right hook, the right pitch, the right log line, wherever you're at in the process. That's what you're looking for. Does it move people? Does it create tension? Get them to lean in and say that the magic phrase that I'm looking for in almost some version of in every conversation is how can I help or what do you need?
Hmm.
And if I can get someone to say, oh, well, what do you need? Then sky's the limit. I can go, well, what I think aligns with you the most is something like this. And then I can pitch the actual offer of the I'm asking you for money in exchange for this, or I'm asking you in exchange for or some marketing help or some guidance or some distribution or whatever it might be. But I'm waiting for that before I even get into those details.
I think those that's very, very insightful advice to say, okay, how do I use my script now to really take it to the next step? Um, which leads us to our next point, which is that was a terrible segue, but
Sorry.
no, that was not you, that was me trying to tie that in.
Oh, I
Uh,
paired the last two together. So now we're on number 5.
yeah, okay, number 5. And the talking point is that the script creates momentum when you control access.
Yeah, what do
And
you mean by that? Because you put that on there, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to explain this one to me, Garrett.
well, I'm going to tell you how we're using that right now to control access.
Nice.
Um, we have a script. People want to see the script. We've given the pitch out. Say, hey, here's our story about this group of religionists that overcomes an oppressive government, but it's a comedy heist movie. And suddenly people are going, okay, I've never seen that. I'm interested. Send me the script. We go, okay, wait a second. No, we control the access now.
Mm,
What I don't want is to just send the script. I want to get a FaceTime meeting with them, or invite them to a read through and have them hear my pitch. And so that's how I'm controlling access. So next
gotcha.
week, I'm driving down to a potential donor's home in Las Vegas, and we will read through sections of the script because I know, and that when somebody sends the script, nobody reads it. It's not. It's you might scan through it a couple times, or donors or investors are notoriously, and they'll admit this, they don't know how to read scripts. That's why you're the filmmaker and they're the investor,
Yep.
because they do not have that creative approach to filmmaking, right? If you give me a blueprint to a house, I go, I can't live here, but
Yeah.
it might be the most nice mansion, right?
Gotcha. So I read it as you're controlling access, meaning like limiting how many people can read it, but you're talking about controlling how they access it. So in what format are they going to be able to engage with or read or hear or participate in the script so that it aligns with who they are and where they're at in the process and what you're trying to have a conversation about.
We're gonna invite them to go deeper on this project with us.
Yeah.
Not to here's this burden of read the script and tell me what you think. I'm gonna be in the room reading through sections of the script, me and my with my partner on this, and who's the lead actor in it. And so not only do they feel like, okay, we're really invested in this project, and but they get a sense of what the script is that they may or may not know how to interpret just if they're reading through the script. Plus, then there's this access type feeling of like, holy cow, we are in the room now with the people that are going to make this happen. I want to continue to be involved in that. And in this certain case, our donor is going to want to invite their friends as well, or their participants, others to participate, because they now have access, and they're not. And I'm not going to leave a script with them. They're going to say, I want to do that again with potential other people.
Yeah.
It,
No,
it's
that's
exactly we're stealing a page out of your book, Darren, because it's exactly what you and Ross have been doing.
I was going to say, like, that aligns really well with how Ross was controlling access to the script throughout the last 4 months. Is he was to the point where he wouldn't play a music track and sing along with it. That wasn't it. He wouldn't use a digital piano. It had to be an acoustic physical piano in
Yeah,
a room so that people could feel the acoustic waves hitting them in the chest when he played harder or when he played softer.
correct.
And
Yeah,
so whether it
interesting.
was a room with 120 people or a room with 12 people, it didn't matter. It like he would pay money himself out of pocket to rent a stand-up, baby grand and have it tuned before the thing so that that's how the access was controlled. So that totally aligns. That's awesome. Love that one. Yeah, I
I'm
think.
excited. I'm excited about it. And again, it's a sequence. It's this process. It's not
Mhm.
just a single ask. Here's my script. Do you want to interest? It's
Yeah,
like, okay,
it's not a
let's take you
transaction.
down this road, and we'll go as far with them as they want to go. If they want to say, thank you for doing that. We're you know next time just send the script. That's okay. Let's make sure they align but I think that they need to know that we don't just send out scripts. That's not like that. That's an access point to the project.
Hmm. I love that. I also think it's important, and I'm sure we've said it before, but like producers, investors, donors, people, we're not ATMs. It's not you put in the right PIN number and you get money out. That it's not a transaction. It's a invitation to join and partner on a project, and that's a long-term thing. And so I've never had a pitch or an experience with an investor or a distributor or anybody where I've gone, hey, let me send you this, and if you're interested, here's a link to send money. Like, that's just not how the conversation goes. And so when you're doing this stuff, you're spending more time with people, because if they're coming to a read through, you just spent an hour or two with them. That's way more valuable than even 100 emails back and forth. Time
Right.
together in person, you can feel each other out. You can see if there's chemistry there or resonance there or alignment there, way better than through email. And so a lot, and it's reliant that you then understand this is the start of a relationship, and there's going to be a lot of follow-ups, and that's going to take months, sometimes years, for people to finally come along and say, hey, I'm ready, or hey, this sounds like the right project, or hey, I'm in. So right now, this week, everything I'm doing this week is kind of Sundance focused. So the event that I'm going to put together, probably a lunch or a dinner, something like that, and then meetings with people who I've had emails with over the last 3 months, but I've never met in person. I know they're going to be here in our hometown or our home state for Sundance. So
Yeah.
they want a meeting with me. I want a meeting with them, because we know that we're going to make so much more progress on this conversation by spending 20, 30 minutes, an hour together over a drink or over a meal than if we just keep emailing back and forth. And it's this nudge reminder, bumping this up in your inbox kind of relationship.
Yeah. I love it.
Awesome.
Um,
Okay, we got one more.
yeah, take it away. What is that
I
one?
like this one a lot because, again, it goes back to the idea of what's in it for them or what is it that they really want and aligning with the existing demand. So, this last idea is make it easy for someone to say yes. And part of that starts with understanding who they are and how it aligns with your project and making sure that you're pitching them that sort of version or that you're translating it in that way for them. But your script and your pitch should remove friction, not create friction. So I experienced this. I'm keep referencing this pitch fest, but it's kind of like what we're talking about here. There were pitches that created tension. Sorry, not tension, but friction. So pitches that, there was one that comes to mind. He was pitching a modern Western. And I go, what is that? And that's friction. As soon as my eyebrows furrowed and my face scrunched up and I'm going, huh? Like that's friction. That's a thing that I missed the next 15 seconds of what he said because I was going, what's a modern Western? Like, is it a modern set time or like I still don't know what it is. So it's like, great, that's a cute word that you used in your pitch, but it actually created friction for me as someone who was considering your project. And so what happened was this 3 or 4 times people would pitch and it would create friction, and then all of us on the panel would start asking questions to remove the friction. And then once we removed all the friction, we're like, oh, that's actually a really cool project, you just pitched it really poorly. And not in a funny joking like attacking way, but in a, oh, your pitch does not
Yeah.
align with the story, and here you got to take all the things we just said as feedback and remove all that friction. I didn't have that language, but I like this idea of removing friction and making it easier for people to get it so that they can say yes if that's what they want to do.
I think it's yeah, that's right on. And whether that's your script or your pitch, it should be very, very clear and have a clear budget range, a clear timeline, a clear next step, including the invitation, right? So for this read through next week, we're going to go down and read the thing and read sections of the script, and I've got a presentation put together. But if we walk out going, oh, wasn't that a fun evening? We all had enjoyed a story and had cookies together. Thanks. Uh, then that's a fail. It's a waste of time. But it's like, here's what our next step is. We would like you to participate. Would you consider a $25,000 donation to this film? Or are there people that didn't come this evening that you would like us to do a read through for in 2 weeks? And maybe we follow up with you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, have a clear invitation. So yes, you're eliminating friction and you're making it easier for someone to say, yeah, I'm a part of this project.
That's really cool. And I do think that's important to know what the next step is, whether it's the ask for them to say, oh, I'm here to ask you to invest in my project and what feels like the right amount for you. Or they might ask you what's next. And you might say, oh, well, I'm in conversations with 3 directors and 4 producers. And the plan is to raise the money in Q1 and shoot it in Q2 and have it out in Q4. If you know the answer to that, even if you're not locking yourself into it's not a commitment that you're making. You're not
Right.
signing an agreement that says I will hold to these dates. But if you don't know, then that creates friction and uncertainty. It's like, well, if you don't know, I don't know. It's not my job to know as the investor how you're going to make the movie. So if they say, well, great, how do I get my money back and how long does it take, which is a very standard question in these conversations. If you didn't have that in the pitch and they're asking it now, and your answer is, I don't know, we hope to make it this year. We hope that we then put it in festivals. We hope that somebody picks it up and we hope that it gets a release somehow. Well, theatrical or streaming, I don't know. It's up to them. Well, you just created 4 areas where they could easily say no because you don't know. And that's too much uncertainty for an investor who's thinking about putting money into an already risky space.
Yeah.
So being able to think through some of those answers is really going to help you in the preparation for those meetings to be able to say, look, my hope, my plan is this, 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 and this. And, when I'm pitching investors on the fund, I go, look, we call the money and 12 to 18 months later, the movie's in theaters and you're starting to see a return on your capital. And they go, whoa, that's crazy. Because their other LP positions, limited partner positions in VC funds could be 8 to 15 years before they start seeing return on capital.
Wow.
So that's not just an order of magnitude difference. That's way, 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 way faster and better. And
Yeah.
so I make sure to include that in the pitch because they go, oh, that's very different. So having those answers is essential.
Darren, those are 6 great, um, I don't know, talking points,
Yeah. Should we
steps.
recap it for everybody? Give them the lowdown so they can remember it all. These are 6 things you can do as you're preparing for and pitching. If that's the phase that you're in, which is, where you can see Garrett and I are with our projects and our fund. So the first one was the script is not the product. Like that's not the currency. It's your confidence in the story and your understanding and the alignment there. Using the script to reduce risk, not prove genius. So it's not
Yeah.
about, look at this amazing script that I wrote. It's like, no, here's the scope, here's the budget, here's how we can pull it off. We're very confident that we can do it. Okay, great. The third and fourth, which I blurred into one. So the third one was the pitch. You're translating it for people. So it's not a summary of the entire story, but
It's not a plot dump.
it's not a
Or
plot dump.
or the pitch isn't the plot dump. The
Yeah.
script has that,
Yeah.
but yes, the pitch isn't the plot dump.
Yeah.
The pitch is the experience that they're gonna feel. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna feel this, and I can tell you this in 2 minutes.
Yep. And then number 4 was that different money needs different versions of the pitch. So you got to be able to translate the pitch for an investor, for a donor, for a fund, for a producer, for a director, for an actor. Like all of those are different pitches because they want different things. So you're going to build this kind of core pitch, and then you're going to create these different versions of it for different people.
Script is the exact same script.
Yeah.
5 is the script creates momentum when you control access. This one is key to me, I think, is like not just sending the script out and saying, oh, you would like the script? Let us bring it to you for this exchange.
Yep. You can go with number 6.
And number 6 is, again, take away the friction. Make it easy for someone to say yes, right? I guess you summarized it very well, but
amazing.
With a talking point at the end, or an invitation, a call to action. One note on that too, Darren.
Yeah.
That I didn't.
I was going to say we probably should say more about that because both of us were like,
well, I just want to make sure that in these meetings, know the roles, like identify the roles early on. Nobody should be surprised that you're asking them to be an investor in the movie, right? So for this read through next week, the goal, and it's very clear, is like I've sent an invite out saying you're invited to attend a read through of a project. We're going to do this. We're going to read through sections of the script. Then we're going to have a discussion on how this movie gets made, and you'll be invited to be a participant in that process.
Yeah.
Right. So nobody's blindsided by, oh, wait, you want me to talk about this movie to my friends, or you want me to invest in this movie? Yep. And
yep. That's
they're coming knowing that.
That's so key. And it goes back to the very first thing of like, oh, I just lost it. Alignment, making sure you're talking to people who are aligned with what you're doing. I'm doing, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 100 connection requests, or you call it like cold outreach every day, 50 to 100 people that I'm either reaching out to or following up with.
That sounds like a lot of work, Darren.
It's a lot of work, Garrett. This is why
just
raising money is a full-time job, and that doesn't pay very well because you have to do it at scale. And what I'm literally doing in the initial message is saying, I'm putting together a fund to invest in indie films that are values-based, family-friendly, whatever. But it's very clear from the initial outreach, I'm using that clarity as a divining rod. Like, what's the thing? Like, are you in or out? Like, I want to know before we even start talking, is this something that aligns with who you are? And I get messages across the entire spectrum from, I don't know why you're reaching out to me, I don't invest, to, and I go, oh, sorry, I saw this and thought maybe it was a possibility. If you know anybody, happy to have a conversation. And then we leave it at that. All the way to the other side of the spectrum, which is, I'm so glad you reached out. My company is starting to get into film investing, and I would love to connect you with my partner who's over that. I go, great. And then we have a meeting, right?
Yeah.
But from the very first message, I'm going, are you aligned? This is what I'm doing, who it's for, what it helps them achieve. if that's aligned with what you're doing right now in your life and business, we should have a conversation. So I almost treat it as an offering, as a gift instead of a pitch to say, hey, I wanted to make sure you knew I was doing this thing. And if that's interesting to you, we should have a conversation. And that excites a lot of people. And so maybe 1 or 2 out of every 10 that I talk to is like, yeah, we could chat. Great. And then we go. So yes, I really hope that this helps. This episode is something I feel like I'm going to reference many, many, many times, because people constantly are asking, well, how do you get meetings and how are you pitching people? And it's like, well, you do a lot of it and you refine it and you get better and better and better and you pursue that. Like, how do I get better at pitching over a year of doing nothing but pitching? If that's your goal and you're constantly getting better, I have to think that at some point you get the thing that you're pitching for.
I would agree.
That was a good facial reaction for those listening, not watching. You got to watch the YouTube version of this.
That's just a nod. That's my.
I know.
That's my
Yep,
end.
I
Full
got
agreement.
no other notes.
No notes. Darren, great discussion. Thank you. And for those listening, close to the release date, we just had the Golden Globes. I don't know if that's even relevant anymore, but it's fascinating to watch. Last night, I didn't mean to go political.
No, you're good.
Fascinating or topical, but there were several independent film winners, and it was so exciting and just fascinating that in people's acceptance speeches, you got Stellan Skarsgård, who stands up and accepts the Best Supporting Actor Golden Globe for sentimental value, and he says, "This is a small film with no marketing budget," and is inviting people to go see the movie and to be aware of the movie. Nobody's ever heard of the movie, or as far as it certainly wasn't nominated for a box office award.
Yeah.
But these films continue to make them. Like, they will break through, and it was exciting to see several independent films being recognized.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not watch. I didn't know it was last night. So now I got to go catch some updates and stuff.
I know nobody knows anymore. I think the Golden Globes are more independent.
That's okay. But I mean, I love celebrating film, so I'm all for that. I do get emails every week from some of the industry things that I subscribe to, and it's like, okay, well, what does it mean, and who's a front runner for Oscars? And I'm like, who cares? Like, that's not what we make movies for. Some people do, certainly, and it certainly benefits you if you are a film worker to be an award-winning film worker, because you can charge more, which is a good thing for you, right? So I have a cousin, my wife's cousin is an Oscar award-winning sound mixer. So he can charge a lot more and that's great for him, because the industry is in such shambles and turmoil and uncertainty that, like, even though he's as good as he is, there aren't as many jobs. So it's like, okay, well, I'm glad that you can charge more per job because you're really, really, really good. So yes, I support all those things, but making a movie so that it wins awards is not why I make movies.
Yeah. Well, keep at it. Keep making movies. And thank you to our listeners. We did receive a fun email this week saying, hey, this podcast was the reason I was motivated to finish my short film. And I love that. So thank you for your feedback. Give us those likes and stars wherever you're listening, and we'll keep doing this.
Yeah. Our one ask at the end of our podcast is share this with a friend.
That was very clear. Very clear. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right, Darren. We'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Thanks for joining us. If you are enjoying Truly Independent, please share and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the journey. Today's episode was edited by Michael Bradford and produced by 3 Coin Productions. This season of Truly Independent is supported by the Help Them See Foundation. Help Them See is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting feature films that inspire faith, hope, and connection. By partnering with filmmakers, the Help Them See Foundation brings meaningful stories to life and shares them with audiences worldwide, making a lasting cultural impact through the power of cinema. Learn more and discover how you can be part of the movement by visiting helpthemseefoundation.org.